Hi, I'm Sherry Lewin with Thrive Clermont. We want to give a big thank you to the entrepreneurs who served as volunteer instructors in our Fall Adulting series. We've edited this down by speaker, and we hope you enjoy.
Hi, I'm Scott. I am currently the operator of the Citrus Tower. You guys talked about like how once an entrepreneur, just kind of always an entrepreneur. It got me thinking of like, what's the earliest thing that I did? It would be entrepreneurial. And I think it was probably when I was like 10, I was just trying to find some cool rocks and then I'd sell them to my grandma and she would just buy them. I don't know why, but that started it probably because I was like, oh my gosh, like I can take a rock and make a quarter. I'll do this all day. So that's what I did. And finally that gravy train ended and she was sick of buying rocks. And then in high school, my parents had a gift shop and they had these little things called mariachi sacks, which is like a hacky sack, but for your hands. And I would buy them from my dad and then I'd resell them at like 100%. And he'd sell them at me like wholesale. So it was still a fair deal for everybody except for him. And that probably started it because I just saw a little bit of how commerce works. But ultimately, my goal is to work in the church. That's why I went to Liberty University, and I want to serve the church. And but when I got out of my seminary degree, the thought was, I'm probably going to serve in a very small church. So how would I support my family? And that's when I just jumped into real estate because it was the quickest way that I could make an income. I mean, it was like within 2 weeks, you could be a licensed professional, so that was cool. About 4 or 5 years doing that. And then I learned during that process, I learned how to do developments and specifically land development. And I did my own small development. I just learned the trade and my dad was ready to retire. So I went to him and after talking with my wife and we decided to take on one of his assets, the Citrus Tower. And here we are, just entrepreneuring. Yeah, I think some of the largest challenges that I've faced, almost all of them are, at least that like come to mind initially, are things that I want to do that I think would be great assets to my business that I cannot handle financially, or I don't have enough staff, or just there is a challenge that comes up that I'm just like, I just don't know. One is I really wanted to bring back the light show, but what I tell people all the time is we're a big building, but we're a very small business. Like I just didn't have a bunch of cash sitting around to throw a light show back up. The elevator modernization, that one super tricky, just trying to figure out how can we do this? I know it's a huge asset to the building, but I don't know how. And so one of the things that I have found over the past couple of years while working with this project is the importance of being creative and entrepreneurship. And like, I've been playing a lot of chess recently and I really like it because it gets me thinking. Like I normally make some really bad moves and lose my queen, like move 8. And it's so frustrating. And I get so narrow-minded and I think, oh yeah, there's no way out of this. But almost every time I pause for like 2 or 3 minutes and take like the patience to process through it, there's almost always another creative way to get yourself out of a situation or make a situation better. So that's just thinking creatively is how we've been able to do some of the things that at face value, there's no chance I could have done. So those are a few things. That's appropriate. So it's been absolutely critical. I feel like entrepreneurship it can be so like vastly vague in so many different things that you need to know that you had no idea you needed to know it. And I found the way to get through those times is have somebody a lot smarter than you. And the way that I found those people is I've just looked for them and then asked of them. And almost always they say they're gracious enough to at least grant me a lunch meeting. And most of the time they're absolutely willing to open up and process through whatever situation it is. I would spend more time being intentional and probably educating myself a little bit better in finance, corporate finance, things like that. I think that would have been an asset. If you really want to do something, then do it. But you asked, like, if I wish that somebody would have told me this, and maybe they did, but it's going to be a lot harder than you think it's going to be, but you can handle a lot more than you think you probably can. So, if you want to hustle, you can probably do it.
We hope you enjoyed this video. We want to thank our sponsors who made it possible, as well as our partnership with the Refugee Film School, who supported the editing of these short videos. If you're interested in being a future sponsor or instructor, we'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Thank you.